time to answer some more of your questions, or questions you might have, in another episode of Chris Talks. Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Chris Talks. This is the show where I answer your questions, as well as some questions you might want to know my opinion on. So, of course, my name is Chris, I am your host. And first of all, I wanted to thank everybody who did watch the first episode. It actually got a lot better of a response than I expected. So thank you for everybody who watched it and who made their comments on it. I do need more questions though. I only actually got one question, which I will be answering in this video. So if you have a question you would like me to answer for future episodes of Chris Talks, please leave your comment down below on this video and use the hashtag Chris Talks. You can also tweet at BigCTV Show on Twitter. Use the hashtag Chris Talks, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can for a future episode. All right, so time to get to the question I was asked on the previous episode. Joseph M. asked, what is my 9 to 5? Or what is my job? Well, I do have a regular job. Currently, I'm not able to do it because I work at Walt Disney World in attractions at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So obviously, I'm not able to do my job because the entirety of Walt Disney World is closed right now. So I'm kind of just doing this. It's something I've been doing for many years now, but now I kind of do it all the time because I need to make daily content and I don't have much else going on right now, so that's what I do. I've actually worked for Disney for 11 years now, so I've been there for a while. It's definitely the best job I've had. In the past, I also worked at a movie theater, and then I also worked at GameStop for a little bit of time as well. So I've had a few different jobs, but Disney I've worked by far the longest out of my entire working career. And I've had a lot of really great times and some not so great times, mostly great times. So I enjoy it. Look forward to going back to work whenever this whole thing subsides, because definitely miss going out, and honestly I miss work. I think that'd be a nice change of pace to be able to do something a little bit different than just sit around at home all day. So that'd be good. That's the only question I was actually asked on this video, but I figure I'll answer some other questions that you might be curious about. So, one popular question: what is your favorite video game or video game series of all time? And for me, that's a difficult question because when it comes to video games, obviously you have a bunch of different genres and you have a bunch of different tastes. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for as to what type of game I would want to play. And there are a number of series that I would say are some of my absolute favorites. So it's tough to call one particular series my favorite series of all time. If I had to pick just one, I'm going to go with the Halo series. And the main reason why is I'm a big first-person shooter fan. And Halo was kind of the series that really got me into first-person shooters. Obviously, I played some back on the PC, like I played Doom and I played Wolfenstein and Heretic, some of those old school PC shooters. But Halo was really the first modernized shooter that really stuck out to me and was something truly special. I can't tell you how many hours I put into Halo 2 back in high school. So good. So, I actually, fun fact, I have the same gamer tag that I had on the original Xbox in 2004. That I have today. Same gamer tag, so pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I would say definitely Halo is my all-time favorite series. Some honorable mentions, I would give it to Destiny, which is kind of my newer shooter series. I've been playing Destiny since it came out in 2014. Very much enjoy it. I'm very off and on. Sometimes I'm really into Destiny, sometimes I'm really not, but it's a good series. I've put a lot of hours into it, so definitely one of my favorites. Rock Band, in terms of a rhythm game, is definitely my favorite. I still somewhat regularly play Rock Band 4. Obviously now I'm going to start playing it on a more regular basis for videos. But I really enjoy Rock Band. I think it's kind of a one-of-a-kind experience, and I miss those days back in the mid to late 2000s where people would get together just to have a Rock Band party. It was so much fun. I kind of wish that would come back. And I still have all my plastic instruments. I still have a 847 song library for Rock Band 4, so I can host those parties. I certainly can. Racing franchises, I would definitely go with the Burnout series, which is a shame because Burnout hasn't had a new entry in a while now. But I do love the Burnout series. I think it's a absolutely terrific franchise. And then in terms of RPGs, I would probably go with Fable. It's tough between Fable and Mass Effect, but I feel I put more time and enjoyed Fable a little bit more, especially the first game. The later games kind of dipped a bit in quality, but Fable 1, especially the Lost Chapters version, is so good. Absolutely love that game. So those are my favorite franchises, if you wanted to call it. Now another, of course, big question would be, what is my favorite movie of all time? And I like to cheat on this question because my favorite movie isn't technically a single movie, but the story is a single story, so I kind of like to group it together, especially because you typically don't watch just one of them. You kind of need to watch them all fairly close together. So I'm going to state the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And that's been my favorite since it came out back in the early 2000s. I also read the books back in the day too, so I think Lord of the Rings is one of these classic examples of a movie that should not have worked. Because many people for the longest time considered Lord of the Rings to be one of those franchises that you just could not do on film. And Peter Jackson not only pulled it off, but made one of the greatest fantasy trilogies of all time, if not the greatest fantasy trilogy of all time. It's so good. I love Lord of the Rings. I still watch it every now and again, although it's quite an undertaking because each movie is 3 hours long if you watch the extended versions, which that's what I have. So I actually need to do that, and probably will fairly soon do a Lord of the Rings trilogy viewing for my enjoyment, because might as well. But it's a great series. I have some other favorite movies, of course, of all time. I've done individual lists for like big franchises, what I would rank the top. Just to go a few examples of that. For the MCU, my favorite movie is Avengers Endgame. I think that one is absolutely terrific, and it's kind of the perfect pinnacle to everything that has gone on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My favorite X-Men franchise film is Logan. Again, I feel that one kind of wraps up that storyline really well, and is absolutely not only gut-wrenching, but very powerful and very, very well done. My favorite Pixar movie is Toy Story 3. Because I feel that has one of the best cinematic endings of all time, no question. And my favorite Disney animated film is Lion King. And it has been since it came out. It's a classic film. I don't think the remake did it justice at all. I wasn't a huge fan of the remake. I thought it felt very soulless. The animation was great, but the voice acting was kind of stale, and it just didn't have the same power that the original did. So I much prefer the original version over the remake. So those are just a few examples of some of my favorite films. But my favorite quote-unquote film is Lord of the Rings as a whole. So there's some interesting questions for you. I know it's not a particularly deep or long episode, but I just wanted to give you a few questions as well as answer the one that I was asked in the previous episode. So if you want to get your question read or ask me any kind of question, I don't care what it is, feel free to leave a comment, use the hashtag ChrisTalks, or if you want to tweet at BigCTV Show using the hashtag ChrisTalks, I will try to answer as many of your questions as I can for a future episode, probably airing next week. So yeah, ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them. That's going to do it for this episode of Chris Talks. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you have not already done so. Remember, new videos come out every day at noon Eastern Time. So we got new content coming pretty consistently. And I hope you're enjoying the content that I'm releasing. Something hopefully to brighten your day a little bit while we're all enjoying that lovely self-isolation that we're all having to deal with right now. Because, you know, that's fun. And of course, my 2 recurring series that are going to be available every week, at least for the time being, are Rock Band Karaoke, which will be on Saturdays at noon Eastern Time, And then the Quarantine Chronicles, which the first episode did incredibly well, so thank you to everybody who watched that. The second episode, which chronicles everything that happened this week, will air on Sunday of next week. And we'll continue to do that as long as this whole thing lasts. And I'll probably do some aftermath videos too, because why not? Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Chris Talks. Bye.